Okay, so what you've just seen is Usain Bolt breaking the 100-meter world record in a time of 9.58 seconds. Now, there's a bunch of maths we can do related to speed, distance, and time with this world record from Usain Bolt. So let's take a look. Okay, so as I said, we're looking at speed, distance, and time in this video. Now, Usain Bolt just ran an incredible time of 9.58 seconds for the 100 meters. Now, we're talking about speed, distance, and time. We have a time, 9.58 seconds, and we have a distance, 100 meters. Now, speed, distance, and time are all related. Speed is the amount of distance that you can cover in a certain amount of time. Now, our formula for speed is equal to distance divided by time. Now, that formula can be written actually in three ways. We can rearrange it in a variety of different ways. So we can say that speed is equal to distance over time. We can also say that time is equal to distance over speed. And finally, we can also say that distance is equal to speed times time. So there's three different ways to look at this. So when you do these questions, you need to ask yourself, what am I trying to find? Am I trying to find speed? Am I trying to find time? Or am I trying to find distance? Now, my question for you, first of all, is how fast was Bolt? What was his speed, in other words? Okay, so let's take a look at it. We know that our formula is speed equals distance over time. So now we can say that his speed is equal to the distance that he ran, 100 meters, divided by the time that he ran it in, 9.58 seconds. Okay, this is where your calculator is going to come in handy. Okay, so according to my calculator, he ran 10.4, we'll round it to 10.44. Now, obviously we need to talk about units here. Now, this is a speed, which means most of the time when you talk about speed, you probably think of your car traveling in kilometers per hour. Now, in this particular case, you can see that our distance was in meters and the time was in seconds. So his speed needs to be in meters per second. Meters per second. So that means for every second, Usain Bolt covered 10.44 meters. 10.44 meters per second. So that's how you can calculate speed if you know the distance and the time. Oh, I misspelled Bolt's name. Sorry about that, Usain Bolt. Okay, we're going to do a couple more questions using Usain Bolt stuff. Just a moment. Okay, so here's a second question we can ask. Let's assume that Usain Bolt can keep up that same speed for a kilometre. Now, obviously that's not possible, but for the purposes of our silly maths question, let's assume it is. So he runs for 1 kilometre at a speed of 10.44 metres per second. How long would it take? Question mark. So this time we're not looking for a speed. We know his speed is 10.44 metres per second. And we're not looking for a distance. We know his distance. He's going to run 1 kilometre. What we're looking for is the time here. So we can use this formula, time equals distance over speed. Time equals distance over speed. Now you need to be really, really careful here because the speed that we're talking about is in meters per second. But I've written this question on purpose to say if he ran 1 kilometre. So you can see our units are different, meters and kilometres. So when we do this, we need to convert that kilometre into metres. So we are actually going to ask the question, if he ran 1,000 metres, that's going to be the distance that he runs. And if his speed was 10.44 metres per second, how long would it take? Now again, get your calculator out, give it a try. Now that looks like it's going to take 95.79. Now again, you need to think about units. We did our speed in meters per second, and we did our distance in meters. We need to do our time. It's not hours or minutes, it's in seconds. Now, if we wanted to, we could just convert that. It's going to be 1 minute, 35.79. Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute, 35.79 seconds. I could probably write minute there and seconds. We're confusing it, but you get the basic idea. Okay, so recapping, we watched Usain Bolt, and then we calculated how fast he could go, his speed in meters per second. And now we've calculated the time it would take for him to run 1,000 meters, assuming that he could keep running at that pace. So we've used this formula, we've also used this formula. We can probably use this formula as well. Okay, so here's our third example. If Bolt runs for 30 seconds, how far will he go? Now again, we're assuming that he can keep running that world record pace, which is totally unrealistic, but for the purpose of our maths it will do. Now we're going to use our third formula because we want to know how far will he want to go. We want to know the distance that he will travel, given that we know the speed and the time. So the speed, he's traveling at 10.44 meters per second, and his time, he's doing it in 30 seconds. So 10.44 meters per second for 30 seconds, multiply one by the other and we'll get our distance. Okay, so that gives us 313.2. Now units, we were talking in meters per second, our time was in seconds. We're talking about a distance, so the distance must be in meters. Okay, so we've learned 3 formulas. Now you're probably sitting there going, oh, I don't want to learn 3 formulas. I would tend to agree with you. Learning 3 formulas is going to be difficult. So there's a handy way to remember those 3 formulas. Draw yourself a little triangle. Put the D there, S, T. This little triangle will help you remember the formula. So if you want to find, I'll just use a different color here. If you want to find distance, it's speed times time. If you want to find speed, it's distance divided by time. And if you want to find time, it's distance divided by speed. So just circle the thing you want. If you want to find distance, speed times time. If you want to find speed, distance divided by time. And if you want to find time, distance divided by speed. There's your 3 formulas in one handy little triangle. Okay, that's our speed, distance, and time. I'll give you a crack at a bunch of these questions so you can see how you go with them. Alright, thanks guys.